the position of selling off the $500 million worth of assets that Lakeland Construction Finance LLC has, one of those properties being this Carver Crossing property. And so that's sort of the history, the financial saga in a nutshell for this particular property. So now, as you hear, this 72 acres is going for a little over $2 million up for sale. Okay, so now think back earlier in the program. We talked about that tourist cabin site in Gladstone where the developer there is still using the same old price of $3 million as the cost of the property, well, or the market value of the property, and is not accounting for the fact that the property value has gone down because of the economy. So you can see where here you've got this prime land down in South Maplewood, down by Fish Creek, and that of course was market value over $7 million, now going for a little over $2 million. And here we got this property up there in Gladstone, not 72 acres, that's for sure. I don't remember exactly how many acres the tourist cabin site in Gladstone is, but certainly if you're looking at a parcel that's much smaller and saying somebody's hypothetically saying it's worth $3 million when you can get 72 acres down in South Maplewood for a little over $2 million, well, I'll let you go figure out what that all means. But with this property now by Fish Creek, it's interesting because now the city of Maplewood is looking at how they might be able to get into the housing business. Economic development. Is economic development the building of houses, or is economic development the encouraging, the retention, and the development of business, commercial business, and jobs with regard to commercial industry or business? That's the question, because you see this particular commission is the Business Advisory Commission. And of course they are the advisory board to the economic, the EDU and EDA. And so here's the thing, is that is the Economic Development Authority going to get into the business of building houses, or are they going to encourage development of businesses or the retention of businesses in Maplewood? What was their original purpose? And I think that somewhere along the way the City Council has lost sight of what was the purpose of the EDU, EDA, or of this commission. And of course, one of the things that I think the citizens have to ask is that you see this new authority, this new Economic Development Authority, they have the ability to do extra taxing or bonding with regard to that economic development authority that they have, that the council has created for themselves by ordinance. So, since they have this new authority to tax or bond, are they going to be taxing and bonding which is true to their mission, which is the development of business? Or are they going to get into the development of houses? Now, some might argue, of course, is that the construction of houses does create jobs. And that's true, it does. But on the short term. That is short-term jobs, because once you've built a house, the house is built. That's it. It's not like saying we have encouraged a new company to come to Maplewood who creates some kind of medical device of some sort where people go to work every day and manufacture this device over and over and over to sell to somebody else for use in another market. And so it's different. Yes, construction creates jobs, but construction and constructing of houses is only constructing houses at that time in a short period of time in that particular market, because once that house is built, it's only built once. And so this is a question that's going to have to come up, that's going to have to be answered by the council. And I think the staff has already found that this is a vehicle that they can use in order to be able to allow Maplewood to have more taxing authority and more bonding authority, because now they've created another organization within the city entity that can do that. Now we have very little time left here. We have only about a minute left or so. So let's hear a little bit of film footage, then we'll come back, wrap up, and invite you to tune in next week.
During litigation, I'm sure you all understand it, but that was not something at the time, but that's when we talk about 25 cents on the dollar, and so the property is available. And so this is a plan the council asked as staff to put together an overall program for how it might work and how the best way to recover the costs. And so obviously $2.75 million. One of the first concept and the reason that we're looking at is to possibly develop the northern part of the site, and that is 9 to 15 lots. And the reason is to try to recover those costs. I think this is in your plan. This is one particular option that was put together. This being Carver. This is Henry Lane that exists right now. Here's the creek down in the far south end. This is the large wetland that exists. This is an 11-lot plan, but something that, as we looked at, 9 to 15.
As I mentioned, looks like Maplewood's going into the housing business. I leave it to you to tell me what kind of a housing market there is out there in these economic times. So anyway, we'll be talking more about this in the next episode of the Citizens Reporter. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. Please tune in again next week when we'll have another episode and we'll have a little bit more discussion on what's going on. Thank you very much. Good night.